Very warm welcome to the Monday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. It is the start of a new working week. The winter forecast was released last night at just after 7:30 p.m. It is freely available on markvoganweather.com. Also, the live stream, it was an epic one. There was a great turnout. It was in-depth, to say the least, but I hope it has made sense to everybody. A massive thank you for all the views, the new subscriptions as well in recent times. But do check that out. There has been a lot of work being put into this winter forecast. There's been a lot of thought over recent months with regards to the overall thinking, and that has now been presented on the website. So do check that out. Check out the live stream as well if you're wanting to watch back what was said last night. I will leave a link in the description below today's video for both the written article as well as the live stream that was last night. But we do have a fair few things going on. I want to very quickly look at what has been going on with the 10 millibar temperatures over the North Pole at the moment. We've seen a strengthening of the polar vortex in recent weeks, but now a bit of a weakening taking place. And the reasons for that is that we're starting to see the build-up of pressure over the Arctic region. That's creating a frictional effect on the stratospheric circulation, slowing down the mean zonal winds a little bit and causing a little bit of displacement of the vortex off its axis off the pole itself. So you can see here, this grey line here represents the climatological average. We did go very close to average through the months of October. We did see record weak mean zonal winds and temperatures back late September into the first half of October. We did see a very strong positive Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation during the month of August. That flipped into a record weak negative Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation during the second half of September, first half of October, likely resulting in record weak mean zonal winds and a weakening of the polar vortex itself. But the strengthening has been in conjunction with the Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation going back firmly positive. Lack of resistance means that these winds start to accelerate. Then we've got a renewed blocking over Greenland and over the higher latitudes, and that has caused the weakening of the PV once again, and the mean zonal winds also. So the temperature and the mean zonal winds have came down in recent times. But what is likely to take place? So that's the 10 millibar level. We'll look at the 30 millibar level quick, and you can see here that we've seen a similar idea. The temperatures have come back to average, even slightly weaker than average. But if you look at the forecast of the ECMWF, we're at that near average, just slightly below average. It's expected to accelerate to record strong mean zonal winds towards the beginning of December here, and that is likely a result. And you notice here it stays close to record territory all the way out to the middle portions of December. Then you notice here a slight drop off, not necessarily dropping below average, but certainly there's a weakening of the mean zonal wind towards the end of December. And what I think may be the reason for that is that the ECMWF also suggests that we're stuck in phase 2 at the moment, which is over the Indian Ocean. It's expected to go into phases 3, so I would keep an eye out on potential storminess as we begin the month of December. Wouldn't be surprised if we got a couple of named storms the period really between the 1st and the 15th of December as the MJO goes through into phases 3, which is the Eastern Indian Ocean, then quite strongly into phases 4 and 5. So I think there's a direct relationship between these warm phases of the MJO, the likely return to positive Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation. That means we're lowering the heights over the Arctic. So therefore, we anticipate a strengthening of the polar vortex, and the ECM is certainly suggesting that. And what is also giving me reasons for the increase in jet strength is actually we're going to see a trough that's been predominantly over the western United States, origin over the eastern United States. What's going to happen is the trough over North America is going to shift eastwards. That's going to increase the temperature gradient over eastern North America. then you would expect to see a strengthening of the jet stream over the Atlantic, and therefore a bit of a wave train developing of low pressure across the Atlantic and then towards Western Europe here. That's the overall thinking in the broad scale, and I've mentioned that in the winter forecast as well. A mild, at least first half to December is on the card. So do check out both the written and the live stream last night if you're wanting to know a little bit more in depth. But this is the current vertical velocity. You can see the greens representing rising motion within the Indian Ocean, but primarily the eastern Indian Ocean. That to me is suggesting we're are going to a phase 3 of the MJO. And every time we've seen a phase 3 in recent months, we've seen a named storm. We've seen it at the end of August. We've seen it at the end of October. We've obviously seen a named storm, actually named by the Met Urian back, obviously, a few days ago with the Bert. I would expect to see, given the fact that we've got this phase 3, we're going to see the trough likely move across the United States, increasing the gradient over the Atlantic, and therefore I would expect to see the jet stream strengthen. If we look at the jet stream, you can see here what is going to take place, but let's go back to the northern hemispheric view real quick. So you can see here that we're in the trough at the moment, generally higher pressure over Europe, troughiness over the UK and over Ireland. We've got that Greenland ridge, but it's starting to weaken, if you notice here. And you pay attention to what's going on over North America. We've got this trough exit in the northeast. We've got a deeper trough now over the western United States. Play through this loop and watch what happens here. We start to see the trough that's exiting eastern North America, then move out into the Atlantic. That is the low pressure train now starting to become more active over the Atlantic, but then also paying attention in North America. Deepening trough over the central and eastern United States. We're increasing the gradient over between the Caribbean and the United States. Therefore, we strengthen the jet stream. We've got an area of high pressure that kind of builds in during the mid to second half of this week into the upcoming weekend as well. That high pressure doesn't, I think, stick around overly long. But watch what happens. Look at North America specifically. And now we've got a very deep trough, cold Arctic air getting driven in. Because of that stretching of the PV over the Arctic region, we're seeing a little bit of cross-polar flow. So that's our Siberian air crossing the pole into North America, deepening the trough over eastern North America. We've seen this kind of in 2013-14, very potent Arctic air outbreaks into the United States. That strengthens the jet stream, and it produced a record stormy winter for the UK as well as for Ireland as well. But by this stage, this is out to the 2nd of December. This is obviously the GFS operational model, but we'll look at the ensemble in just a second here. We don't necessarily go too much with one operational run because they change too quickly. But look at how we've lost the block over Greenland. Now we're starting to see a much more potent trough, very zonal jet. That is your phase 3 written all over it. We've got warmer air now starting to ascend northwards over western North America. Cold Arctic outbreaks dropping into the eastern United States. And with a flat jet, that's that positive NAO returning, or at least neutral anyway. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see some deep areas of low pressure crossing the Atlantic and moving towards the UK as we push towards the end of week 1 of December. Looking at the jet stream off the GFS ensemble this time, as opposed to the operational. Let's zoom in a little bit more and you can see what I'm talking about. And you can see that we start to see a strengthening of the jet exiting Asia. That is the beginning of the changes, the ripple effect. And the MJO, remember the MJO is over the Eastern Indian Ocean. That's going to then start to increase the strength of the jet, and a zonal jet at that. Exiting China, the Koreas, southern Japan, and then it's forcing the change over the North Pacific, North America, then pushing that trough eastwards over North America. Then we're seeing the strengthening of the jet stream in response to that tightening thermal gradient over eastern North America. Look at this here. Sunday, the 1st of December, there's a strong arm of jet stream winds now exiting eastern or southeastern United States. That is going to then fire a very potent jet here over the Atlantic. Very flat. Yes, it's quite south displaced over the western side of the North Atlantic, but we've got it starting to come up from a southwesterly direction. Very mild and potentially quite a wet setup showing up here by the time we reach the end of week 1. Look at how flat and straight this jet is, anywhere from the Mediterranean, through the Middle East, northern portions of India, across China, exiting to the south of Japan here. And this is the much flatter look of the overall hemispheric pattern by the time we reach the end of week 1 of December here. So this is exactly what I'm looking at. Strong jet exiting Asia and across the Pacific. We've got a ridge building over western United States, western Canada. That allows Arctic air into the eastern United States. Then that in turn, thick, tight gradient over North America. Plenty of heat across the Caribbean. Remember how warm these waters are here. But with Arctic air coming south, that then strengthens the pressure gradient and the jet stream in response to that. And then that will fire areas of low pressure, deepening lows that will cross from the warm side into the cold side of the jet. Would not surprise me if we see a few significant storm events during the first 2 weeks of the month here. So I've given you again the reasons why the mean zonal winds and the polar vortex is likely to strengthen. That is in conjunction with the MJO rotating through phases 2 and 3 into 4 and 5. The winter forecast is a lot to do with the MJO and the connection. Looking at the GFS ensemble in terms of the temperature, let's look at Europe specifically, and we can see here real quick what we're looking at. Just bear with a second here. Temperature normally wise, upcoming 5 days looks like this here. So we've still got slightly chillier than average across the majority of the UK and Ireland. We've got a warm Europe, cold over Turkey, very cold. We've seen significant snow here. Then the 6 to 10, and given what I said about the jet stream and the more Atlantic dominance, that suggests a warmer than average day 6 through 10. That's the 30th of November through the 5th of December. The 11 to 15, you can see here that we were slightly easing back on that warm anomaly, but generally speaking, that's a mild setup through the first 10 days of the month. Looking at the precipitation of the model here real quick, and you can see to the upcoming 7 days, looking drier than average. Remember, higher pressure builds in this week. Then as we continue to play through, I would expect to see a wetter signal showing up, and not massively wet, but still slightly wet than average for the period between the 4th and the 11th of December. Want to just show you real quick off the weather charts site here, show you just the kind of here and now what's happening over the next few days. So there is Bert exiting to the east. We've got a little bit of northerly flow here, if you notice, so a little bit chilly. Then we've got an area of low pressure that moves across the southern United States. This is off the GFS operational. Then the high pressure builds in, maybe quite chilly underneath that high, clear skies, light winds, and we'll see frost by night. And then we've got the generally southwesterly flow and some disturbed weather coming in from a southwesterly direction. Like I said, wouldn't surprise me, that jet strengthening. We're going to see a few deep areas of low pressure moving through. Bit of a wave train, one after another possible. Look at this here, 957 millibars by the time we reach Thursday the 5th of December. So not the worst of weeks coming up. A much quieter one compared to what we've seen obviously last week. Want to finish off by really quickly looking at the ECMWF. This is the C3S model here for the December, January, February period. This is the upper pattern, so this is the 500 millibar. You can see here positive heights extending from the United States across the Atlantic into Europe, including the UK and Ireland. You've got negative heights between Iceland and Greenland. That is very much a positive AO-NAO signal for the entire winter period. Looking at individual models here, so this is the JMA for the same period. Is it going to load for me? Hopefully it will. This is the period for December of the JMA. Interestingly enough, it's indicating that we've got positive heights extending from the North Atlantic up into Greenland here. Somewhat neutral heights over the UK and Ireland, which suggests to me a bit more of a negative AO-NAO pattern for the month of December, according to the JMA. Then as we move towards the January period, looks as if we've got neutral heights extending to the northwest of the UK, between the UK and Greenland here, including Iceland. We've got positive heights extending into the British Isles itself. That again is a very positive AO looking at February, similar idea here. So certainly the JMA is not overly enthusiastic about the North Atlantic Greenland blocking troughiness and cold over Western Europe, or even indeed eastern portions of the United States, also based on this latest model run. Let's look at the DWD, which is the German model, and see what it's indicating for the month of December. A little bit more enthusiastic with the DWD, showing positive heights extending from the North Atlantic up into Greenland here. That ridge looks quite close to the UK and Ireland, but slightly to the west, may suggest north or northwesterly flow in the means. Looking at the month of January here, looks as if we've got quite positive heights extending from eastern North America across the Atlantic into the UK and Ireland. Very cold look across northwestern portions of North America based on this model run here. It looks as if it's suggesting quite a deep trough and cold over this region. Looking at the month of February here, again, it's trying to hint at something more positive heights. Greenland, the North Atlantic, not much over Greenland here. Some more positive up towards the Norwegian Sea, and is it the Barents Sea? I think it is. So yeah, again, not greatly overly enthusiastic in terms of anything particularly cold. Let me see here what a couple of other model runs are showing here, and then we'll call it quits at that. Let's look at the Met Office model run and see what it's indicating. It's kind of a bit of a quick breeze through these models. Unfortunately, I'm not showing too much, giving too much time to these. Again, you have to take these with a pinch of salt, but certainly looking at this, Met Office looks as if it's got positive heights, incorporate North America, North Atlantic, and the UK and Ireland. Not a particularly cool look, especially with neutral heights, which suggests low pressure, positive AO/NAO signal for the month of December, according to the Met Office. Looking at the month of January here, very low heights, more across Greenland here. That would be a textbook positive AO/NAO, firmly Atlantic driven, mild for the month of January, according to the Met Office. And then February looks as if it's got high pressure over northwestern Europe, across the southern United States, with a trough over the northwest of North America here. So that is it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the content. Be sure to hit the like button, share with your friends and family, and subscribe if you have not already done so. Lots of content, 7 days a week here on the channel. Stick it right here, and we'll continue to monitor this weather pattern as we go into the winter. Stay tuned. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Bye for now.